Many times people think that acting your age refers to your biological age and that you're either doing it well or poorly. My experience tells me that neither of those is really the crux of the matter. For me, acting your age is really looking at a couple of really key things, which I'm going to talk about today. One is, what are the key areas where we might be in different ages in our lives? I'm then going to talk about some barriers. What is it that stops us from growing up in all the different parts of our life? And then I'm going to finish with a story of one night when I said, what the heck? What I have found that there are three core areas in terms of looking at healthy maturity: body, mind, and spirit. And underneath all of those, there are even more different areas: our emotional age, our spiritual age, our intellectual age, our sensual, sexual age, multiple different ages that we can be at different levels at. Because of that, much of our life is often about gathering all those pesky ducks and trying to get them all in a row to do something together. But really often, all we can try to do is just get them in the same pond, even if they're bumping up against each other. For example, when I was growing up, I was and still consider myself a competitive amateur athlete. However, growing up as a Latina and as a female, I didn't have any role models. What happened then is, even though my body was able to perform, my spirit was really distracted and annoyed by all these contradictory messages I was getting. How did that show up? I was angry on the field often. My sister would love to tell you about the times that I got into sort of a semi-fist fight, I think she called it, and how many yellow cards I got from referees because I said something I probably shouldn't have said out loud. I then decided I was going to create some energy and grow up spiritually and emotionally. So now when I step on the tennis court, I am fully there, body, mind, and spirit. Imagine that we are born as a packet of wildflower seeds, and within those seeds there are many, many different varieties, many different ways that we can grow up and be mature. Our seeds are strewn out into the world. Some of them land on rich soil and grow really easily, and some land on hard soil and do not grow. What we know is that if we look out into a wildflower field, that sometimes it has to do with the water that doesn't flow exactly where it needs to flow. It can be that the wind, as the little seedlings grow up, batter them so they don't really get to grow as well as they can. But the most beautiful wildflower fields are the ones where all the varieties grow, they mix together, and they make a beautiful natural bouquet. So to us with our natural bouquet, when our body, our mind, and our spirit can all bloom together and engage together, that is when we know that we are flourishing. And even if it's only in fleeting moments, we've had those moments when ourselves, the people around us, the environment really welcomed nourishment, really welcomed growth in us. So now I want to talk about what is the wind and the lack of water in our lives. The first barrier can be, surprisingly enough, our natural talent. We often have one area of our life that we can do pretty easily. And often we can rely on that too much and forget about the other areas of our life. We have too much loyalty to our natural talent. The second thing that can happen is that we grow where we get external recognition. Often in this society, I think that's our intellect, that we can overgrow intellectually because that's what gets reinforced in schools and societies, in our workplaces. The third most challenging barrier is traumatic events or experiences that we may have had in a particular area of our life that stops us from growing fully. We all have heard, grow where you're planted, right? However, It is simply challenging when we have experienced abusive or racist or economically starved environments that do not allow us to truly bloom and blossom. They can cause serious long-term harm and also self-doubt, where we not only doubt our right to blossom, but we doubt our capacity to blossom. The good news is that it is never too late to grow up. However, it takes effort. So if I want to pat my head and circle my stomach, and then hop at the same time, I might have to break those three things up into different moments before I can do them all together. As a gardener and as a lifelong learner, I know that the first step is to look at the state of my soil in all the different areas of my life. Where has it been parched? Where has it always been deliciously rich and moist and full of mulch? And then decide, what might I need to do to make sure that all my seeds can bloom? I want to end with my what the heck story. With that same daughter, maybe about 10 years ago, it was about 8:15 at night, and we decided that we wanted to have a goodie. She had just found out that there was a place up in Santa Rosa called Sift that had won the Cupcake Wars. It was 8:25 at night, and it closed at 9 p.m. I was like, go, let's do it. We got in the car, we drove up there, and this was the time when there was not any GPS and we had flip phones. I had looked it up in MapQuest and was sure I could get there. But after turning down 3 one-way streets and talking to 2 pedestrians as my daughter shrank in her seat and said, calm down, Mommy, 3 times, I finally pulled up in front of Sift. I looked out and I saw the woman locking the door and turning that horrible close sign up. I jumped out of the car and ran and I knocked on the door and I was like, you know how the hinge? I was like, no, we drove all the way from Berkeley. Please let us in. She looked at me. She looked at the clock. And then she opened the door. My daughter only then stood up, got out of the car, and came in. And we looked at which of all those amazing cupcakes we had a magnetic attraction to. We then bought way too many cupcakes for 2 people and got in the car to drive home. Now, some people would say I was not acting my age. But what I say is we had a great time going home, tasting amazing, delicious cupcakes. Thank you.